And welcome back to part 4 of my tutorial for how you can play Space Engineers. Today we'll be covering hydroponics, food, and some of the changes that Space Engineers has done with their most recent update. Without further ado, let's begin. And here we are, back in Space Engineers after the most recent update. As you can see now on the hotbar, we now have a new meter for food, meaning that next to your health, your energy, your oxygen, and your hydrogen, you now also need to keep an eye on the engineer's calories. So we now need to make sure we can avoid going hungry. And let's begin after I'll just check out this unknown signal and this unknown signal. Well, what a surprise. This unknown signal is down in this crater. What kind of luck? And by the looks of it, it's one of the older style of signals. These are no longer going to spawn in the game. Why? Because they're part of the old builds. Let's just check it out anyway. No prize. Let's have a look in the cargo container. Some credits and some steel plates. Let's also tear down the pod itself. Every bit of resources helps. Now let's go and check out the other unknown signal. Here's a little tip. If you fly without your dampeners on, you'll crash. However, you could also use it to fly more efficiently. What I'm doing here now is just casually pressing spacebar to do a tiny little hop upwards whilst I'm still moving forwards. If I have my dampeners on, my dampeners will try and stop me when I stop moving. But with dampeners off, it will not do that, and I can then do very casual little hops to my target. And press Z turns back on the dampeners so I don't crash. Come on. Come on. There we go. Right side up. No prize. What do we have here? Computers and some medkits. I'll take those. Now that I've returned with the components for those two pods, let's build a little platform so that we can produce food instead. And we need food. Like, we really need it. So let's begin building an extension to our platform. Okay, this isn't much of a platform, but it's enough to begin with the next phase. That next step being getting some food production going. And when you're starting out in a new game, that is only one food option. Algae. Yes, algae. But the sun is going down, so we're not gonna get any algae today. However, we can still build up what we need. And we're going to begin by basically doing the same thing which we did with the solar tracking array, except this time, instead of solar panels, we are going to put those algae farms on there instead. A quick note about algae farms. Instead of producing energy, they'll use energy to make algae, which we can use as a food source. It's going to be the absolute basic, you're not going to starve today, but it ain't going to be good anyway, food source. And with that being said, let's begin this construction project. And we're going to start with a rotor, but this time we're going to scroll through the options and get the advanced rotor. Why the advanced rotor instead of the normal rotor? Well, the advanced rotor is conveyored, as you can see here. We're gonna need that, plus a few other conveyor type blocks, but that will come in time. And on top of that, let's do some conveyor piping to a little lower. Yeah, on top of that, we'll place a hinge. We don't need to double check if the hinge has conveyors, because the hinge is already a conveyor system. And whilst we're building these things, let's also set it up by giving them the name algae. I know it's not correctly spelled. Roll with it, okay? And let's begin welding it up. Now that that has been done, let's begin with the plumbing needed for this algae farm. Let's go use the armored conveyor T-piece and place one here. And now let's continue with this. Why not? We're good for it. Some junctions. And from there, let's attach the algae farms after I refilled my oxygen. Now that I'm fully recharged and resupplied, let's place those algae farms. It has a single conveyor on the bottom, and we're going to place one here, and two more on the other side. For now. And just because we're going to use the solar tracker method again, we are going to place a camera here. Rename everything correctly now, which is ALGAI. Don't forget the camera. What we also are going to need is another turret controller. Why? Because solar tracker setups can only use one turret controller at a time, and one hinge and one rotor. We can't use one to control multiple. We can't. And so we're not going to. Obviously, give this one also the name algae. We gotta wait for those detector components. They take iron and nickel, as you can see. And with that, it's done. Set up, ready to go. So let's set it up. But before we do, let's go to the hinge we have made and do a little bit of adjustments. As you can see, this is the lower limit and the upper limit. I want to create a safe boundary. The upper limit, I'm gonna put a phi of, instead of 90 degrees, we're gonna put it at 85. So it won't bump into anything. And this one, which is minus 90, which means in the other direction, we will just type in, let's say, just 5. Did you hear that? it just repositioned to its new limits. Why did I adjust those limits? Well, I don't want it to bump into anything, especially itself. And let's just hope that it won't bump with the solar panels, but I'm pretty sure they won't. At least I hope they won't. And now let's set up the tracking array. First, some speed limits. Don't want going too fast. And now, azimuth, which is horizontal. We will use the algae advanced rotor. And elevation will be the algae hinge. The camera it will be using will be the algae camera. With that set up, set to track sun, and it looks like it won't bump into anything. Now, let's build this up in the time we have before the sun rises again. And we might have a problem. This needs a lot of glass. And glass needs silicon. And even with this, it might not be enough. So let's just get some extra silicon with the mining ship. And according to my prospecting, there might be some silicon right here. Now, where exactly are you? I know you're here somewhere. I saw something. Let's go. Got some silicon, but this is a weird vein. Gee, I almost missed my base there. Maybe it's time to put a GPS on the base so I know where the heck it is. I probably have to consider repositioning this connector because this is getting a little close. Ship reconnected. Silicon is going to get refined alongside all that rock. It's going to take a while for that to get through. Luckily, I also set up the survival kit to also refine the stone. Why did I do that? Well, the survival kit is a little bit more efficient. You'll get a little bit more fin rock than the normal refinery, which will result in extra resources. Now that silicon is being refined, let's build up these algae farms. Please don't bump into each other. You can also reorganize the queue to what you think would be needed. For example, I'm going to place all the glass right here at the end so that the refinery and the survival kit have all the time to refine as much silicon as possible so we're not going to be bogged down this quickly. Here we go. Building the algae farms. Oh boy. Whoa! What is this? I've reached level 1? Yes, this is part of a new mechanic in Space Engineers. The longer you stay alive, you're going to be rewarded with buffs, such as an extra 10% health, an extra 10% in food, an extra 10% energy, an extra 10% this, and you're also going to be 10% more efficient with your oxygen. And this is what I meant with getting bogged down. The refinery is now completely out of silicon. And whilst it's refining, we're now slowed down significantly. The survival kit is also done with refining its stone, which would mean no silicon from that. And now we're going to get glass panels as... Oh, excuse me, bulletproof glass at the same rate that the refinery can refine the silicon. Yep, no getting around it. The solar panels are going to bump into the algae farms, and I'd rather not want to deal with clang. What is clang? You don't want to know. Not yet. There we go. This minor reorganization of the solar panels will ensure there will be no impacts and no accidents. And all the algae farms are done too. Let's get the conveying done. Aha! And look what I found here in one of the drop pods. Mushroom spores. We'll need that for later, but not for now. Now, let's put all this material we got back into storage. But not this. I wouldn't recommend eating it. Recharge, because apparently we run out of energy faster now after the update. I'm also down to 1/3 of my hunger bar. We need to hurry. The piping is done and ready. Let's get the next thing going. And that next thing is rather important, because apparently with what I discovered in my research, apparently these algae farms will fill up to only a maximum amount, but then they won't dump what they have collected. That will get annoying, because I want them to keep producing all the way. In order to get that sorted out, we need a little thing. And that thing is called the sorter block. You're probably thinking, what does the sorter block do? Isn't it a part of the conveyor system? Yes, it is, but it has a specific purpose. It can allow certain things through, but not others. Think about it, you only want one type of thing put into a cargo container. This block will do that. And what I wanted to do is, once these algae farms start producing algae, I want that this cargo sorter will take it out and put it into another box. And that box will be its own container. They do take a lot of parts, though. It's probably the most expensive piece of conveying there is. Just look at all these components. This junction doesn't even have half of these components. But the job it will do will be oh so important. Which will be putting the algae into its own cargo storage. And let's go sort through the cargo container options. Not this one. Not this one. That's way too big. That's DLC. We won't cover that. Cargo container. This one will do nicely. What's not nice is that apparently I'm going hungry. We better get this done. Let's just put the mushrooms in here for now. Let's go use a armored piece of conveying to plumb it up. They effectively serve as full blocks. And now that we have this all hooked up, let's go to the sorter block and set it up right now. Step 1. Select whitelist. Go to here. Look through what you want, or just type it in. Luckily, algae is right here. And now select this one. And now, once the algae farms will produce algae, the sorter block will take it and dump it into this cargo container. And now we need to have a block that can produce food. The survival kit can do it, but we're gonna produce the purpose-built block for that, which is this, the food processor. The food processor has cargo access behind, below it, and on top. We're gonna place it here. I heard my stomach growl. We'd better get this done quick. One of the things that will affect you if you're hungry is your ability to sprint. As you can see, as you can hear by the sound effect, I'm trying to sprint, but I can't. All I can do is a leisurely jog, and I'm probably going to starve. But with a little luck, the sun will rise, the algae farms will produce algae, and we will have food. If not, we're going to have a nice demonstration of what you're going to expect if you're going to respawn. With a little luck, I don't have to explain that via visual means. The food processor is done. The food processor can take any of these items and convert it into a food item. It can also take certain raw resources and convert it into seeds. As I may have shown you, we have these mushroom spores with which we can plant mushrooms, but we will not be covering that yet. Another unknown signal. Let's go check it out just in case. I see the sun, but my solar panels and my algae farms do not. Alright, little unknown signal. What do you got for me? No prize. Veggie seeds. And a tool. And what salvageable materials that this unknown signal can give me. Let's hope the sun will eventually hit my base so I can start having some food. Unlikely, though. Let's do something useful and reorientate this connector setup. And put this in the food cargo container. Let's make an S-bend. This time a standard connector. And reconnect my miner ship. I have a sneaking suspicion that I will be demonstrating what will happen at respawn. Great. Let's go put down some more blocks that we'll need for later, like this large grid oxygen tank. Just like the hydrogen tank, it can store a gas, but in this case, it stores oxygen, which also is made from ice. But being a large grid variant of this block, it takes a lot more resources than the small grid variant of this block. Of which we have two. This teeny tiny one, and this one, which can store half the amount of gas of the single large grid tank. Let's pipe it up with some conveyors. Another unknown signal. Let's check it out real quick. With a little luck, it has something that might save my bacon. I hear you. You're in a crater. Fruit. Yippee. I don't feel like getting this pod, though. Besides, if I'm going to starve to death, I'd rather be as close as possible to my base, so I don't have to get my stuff back. You know, the large oxygen tank is already over half filled with oxygen. But we probably don't have... Yep, we have no ice left. Well, there's a little bit. But no, now it's done. It's gone. Let's go get some more ice. I say, while I'm literally at one food left. I'm so going to demonstrate the death and respawn mechanic. And here we go. I'm starving to death. Might as well put the fruit in here.
Health low.
Run 3, 2,
Your health
1,
is critical.
0 chance. I just died.
Health low.
And now I have respawned. And this is part of the new death mechanic. If you're going to respawn, you're now going to respawn with a penalty.
Energy low.
Flat 20 in everything. And that level up you got from surviving so long is gone too. You now have to start with a flat everything. As you can see, no buffs, none at all. And here's the backpack showing you where you've died. Take back the stuff. And let's hope that these algae farms hit the sun before I starve again. But whilst we're waiting for algae still, let's explain what I've collected so far. I have collected mushroom spores, fruit seeds, vegetable seeds, and fruit seeds. There are 4 plants you can now plant and collect in the new hydroponics. Those plants are mushrooms, veggies, fruit, and grain. You can grow them, harvest them, and in combination with anything else, you can make all these other food items. And some food items you can't produce yourself. You need to get them from NPCs. I see sunlight touching that horizon. We're going to have food pretty soon. Hopefully. While I'm still waiting for the sun to hit the algae farms, let's just weld up what I already made. If this is going to be an airtight environment, I better start welding up the floor first. Another unknown signal. Ow. That hurt. Let's go check it out nice and quick. Alright, Mr. Unknown Signal, what do you got for me? I guess that's nice too. If you're wondering what I want from the unknown signals, not only can you find seeds, so now and then you might be able to get all sorts of goodies send unknown signals, such as ores, and the occasional tool, seeds, as I have shown in the past, earlier in this video. However, what also can really be very, very welcome at the moment is some food, because that will also show up in the... Oh? Oh? Algae's being produced? Do we have some already? Not yet. And once we have some, we'll need 4. We will need 4 pieces of algae to make 1 kelp crisp. But it's on the way. I might not need to respawn a second time. 1 algae is already in the food processor. We'll need 3 more. No rush, boys. No rush. Just a little hungry here. The other 2 also started to begin producing some algae. Maybe I'll just make it. 2 more to go. And here we go. I'm starving again. Oh boy.
Health critical. Your health is low.
Pro tip, please be a little faster than this than me. I am literally doing the most efficient method
Energy
possible.
low.
But this also takes the least amount of algae farms to produce food. Another tutorial series done by by a great member of the community called Splitsy actually just would build just 6 these things in a line in a certain way that it will always catch the sun. So he doesn't need to bother with the whole solar tracking thing I am doing. I personally prefer the solar tracker because it keeps me busy, and I also don't need to use so many of these things considering how many parts they need. And 1 crisp has been made. Yummy. My food bar is slowly raising up. A full 12%. Unfortunately, this is all I can do today in terms of this tutorial for 2 major reasons. 1, this is rather expansive and I need to keep space. Needs to build some planters here so I can show you how to make the vegetables. Also, pro tip, don't record a video just around bedtime. It's rather late at night and I want to go to bed. Anyway, we'll pick this tutorial up next time. Until then, see you all next time.